All right, so well going, everybody. Ooh, it's kind of dark. It's kind of dark. Forgot to turn on the lights.
Well, I'd love to flip on some lights for you.
Alexa, stop.
We're in a bit of a dark situation. Are you trying to illuminate a specific area or device? Because right now, I'm about as useful as a screen door on a submarine.
All right, so well going, everybody. So today we're gonna look at learning some cloud courses. So let me just share my screen and select this one here. All right. So the one that we're going to be looking at today is Claude, your first conversation with Claude. In the last video, we looked at what is Claude. So this time we're going to look at this topic. So pretty much what this is going to be about is it says estimate 20 minutes and it says learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to start a new conversation with Claude and navigate the interface, write effective prompts using clear, specific language, upload files and images to provide Claude with additional context, use follow up messages to iterate and refine Claude's responses. All right, cool. So getting started with Claude AI. So I guess we could watch the video or we could just go down here and just knock out the takeaways first. So it's a key takeaways. Claude is powerful, intelligent. Claude is a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across all of your work. Claude brings AI intelligence, but you bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful. So it's not like, we are important too. So Claude has, yeah, the super intelligence, but we have to give it the context on like what it needs to work on. So we make the work meaningful. So it has all that knowledge, yeah, but we have to kind of guide it so you can use it properly. I said the best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally, concisely, and conversationally. Okay, so just talk to Claude like your friend or your coworker, better. Before your next conversation with Claude, consider setting the stage. So your role, objectives, and context, and then defining the tasks and specifying the rules. Okay. When you upload relevant documents or background information into a chat, Claude considers that content in its response. Think of it as a shortcut so Claude can understand what your needs are. So, yeah, I mean, you've done this. Like, if you want to give it some more info, just upload like a file. Maybe sometimes I even upload like a screenshot if it's like I'm working on an app and there's a particular part of it that's not working as expected. And I said the real power of cloud comes with continued and frequent communication, not just one-off prompts. So I guess as you keep on the work with Claude, I guess you get better. And that's how them always depict AIs and all of that. So yeah, not too surprised by that. Let me see if I can pull out the chat from here. How do I pull it out? Pop out chat. Nice. All right. And let's just go back to our live stream. Yeah. All right. So now it's saying before your next conversation, yada yada. So starting your first conversation, when you open Claude AI, you'll see a client interface with a text setup, text input area at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, so when you open Claude AI, you will see a clean interface with a text input area at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, we've all seen that. Nothing too surprising about that. Let me just put this here so we can kind of see the chat, even though it's pretty empty right now. Let's just put it in the corner or something. Let's check that out. Cool. And now let's just drag this over a bit. Nice. So starting your first conversation, okay. Your prompts can range from simple questions like brainstorming code names or for a new feature, complex requests to cook. All right, let's repeat that. When you open Cloud AI, you'll see a clean interface with a text input area at the bottom of the screen. Your prompts can range from brains, simple questions like brainstorming code names for a new feature, to complex requests to co-create files, like having Claude actually make files and all. All right, writing effective prompts. All interactions with Claude begin with a prompt, and these prompts combine with other contexts. With other contexts, impact Claude's. Oh, okay. So all interactions with Claude begin with a prompt, and these prompts, combined with other contexts, impact Claude's response. So the more information you pretty much get, it helps with Claude's response. That's what I'm getting from that. If not get something else, let me know in the comments. And it said the best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally, concisely, and conversationally. This is the second time they brought it up. So, but you may ask, what is a good prompt? Before your next conversation with Claude, consider a few things. Setting the stage, which involves what is your role and what are your objectives? Is there context about your work that Claude should know about? So I guess as me, it would be like letting it know I'm an iOS engineer. And like say if I'm working on an app, like kind of give it some, so I'm an iOS engineer. I'm familiar with Swift UI and kind of give it some context on what I'm trying to do. And then I guess, oh, not even what I'm trying to do, just like about me. And then for number two, then I'm pretty much telling it what I'm trying to do. So defining the task. So it says, what action do you want Claude to take? Do you want Claude to write, analyze, build, or something else? Okay, so this would be like, yo, I want to build an app for Jamaican food, right? And then to specifying rules. What's the style or tone you want Claude to use? Are there examples what you can attach to show Claude what you're looking for? All right, cool. All right, let's see. Putting it together, there's an example prompt that uses all three elements. So before we even go there, let's just run by this again. So it said, but you may ask, what is a good prompt? Before your next conversation with Claude, consider a few things: setting the stage, defining the task, and specifying the rules. All right, so putting it together. Here's an example prompt that uses all three elements. All right, so it says, so this is an example prompt. I'm the marketing lead at an indie streaming startup, and we're preparing an investor pitch deck for Series A investors. So that's just setting the stage. And then it says, can you research the current state of the independent film streaming market and identify key trends, competitor positioning, and growth opportunities? Okay. I believe that's a task. And then it says use current web research with citations and structure it as a professional report of up to 5 pages. So that's not like the rules or restrictions. With an executive summary, market analysis, competitive landscape, and growth opportunities. In this prompt, setting the stage, we tell Claude this is for an investor pitch deck for a new indie streaming app. That's the context and objective. Okay. Defining the task. We provide a specific action, research the market. Okay. With relevant detail. Oh, we provide a specific action, which is researching the market, with relevant details regarding like trends, competitors, and opportunities. All right. And then specifying rules. We ask for current web research with citations, structured as a professional report, telling Claude exactly what style and format we need. All right, cool. I want to go deeper. This prompt framework is adapted from the 4D framework for AI fluency. I've never heard of this before. 4D framework for AI fluency, and that's just how to write prompts. I guess structuring prompts that way. Developed through research collaboration between Professor Rick Dakin and Professor Joseph Feller. The framework identifies four core competencies: delegation, description, discernment, and diligence that enable effective collaboration with AI. Okay. Take our free AI fluency course. We'll do that later. Let's not rush. We're still in Claude 101 to learn how all four competencies work together to enable efficient, effective, ethical, and safe AI use. Adding context. Uploads, connectors, and custom preferences offer ways to give Claude even more context about your work. All right, so if you upload an image or if you link it to a connector, I think a connector is like if you link it to like Gmail or something like that, or just some external thing, or Canva. Claude can analyze both text and visual elements like images, charts, and graphics in PDFs and other documents. Supported file types include PDF, docx files, CSV, text files, and common image formats like PNG and JPEG. That's pretty much all the file types I'm thinking of. And like image files, so that's a good, are the main image files. Some practical ways to use file uploads. Upload a document and ask Claude to summarize the key points. Yeah. Share an image and ask Claude to describe or analyze what it sees. Attach a spreadsheet and ask Claude to identify trends in the data. Hmm. Upload code and ask Claude to explain how it works or find bugs. Definitely, I work with someone like that. And it says once uploaded, Claude will automatically attempt to parse the file's content in the chat. And then so in the chat, the file appears as an attachment, and you can then prompt Claude about it. Pro tip: if you'd like Claude to consider specific preferences in every response, go to Settings General. What personal preferences should Claude consider to set the preferences that apply to every conversation? We can check this out after when we do the second reread. Yeah, people, we reread this after we do the first run through, but kind of like brief, like the main points. All right, so continue. So iterating on Claude's responses. Conversations with Claude are meant to be iterative, chaining bite-sized prompts together. Chaining bite-sized prompts together allows for natural dialogue where you guide the conversation based on Claude's replies. If Claude, so I guess you want me to talk to it like instead of like a huge gigantic prompt, I guess it's saying like piece prompts or chaining bite-sized smaller prompts instead of like just give one huge thing. Even though in the last course it says, yeah, it has a huge context window. It could take 500 pages, so, but it's recommended to like do more bite-sized ones. If Claude's first response isn't quite what you wanted, you have several options. Ask follow-up questions, build on Claude's response by asking for more detail, a different angle, or clarification. For example, can you expand on the second point? Or that's helpful, but you can make it more concise. So yeah, I've seen this where it's like you ask God some, and I've seen this with any AI, and like it might not give you the exact response that you want, but if you ask some more follow-up questions, it usually can get you pretty close to where you're looking for. All right. All right. So now provide feedback. Tell Claude what you liked and didn't like about its response. This is good, but the tone is too formal. Can you make it more conversational? All right. So they must have them provide. Cause remember, I guess they must say, oh, it improves based on what you are doing, and it learns how you work. So redirect or restart. If Claude went in a different direction than you intended, simply steer it back. Actually, I was asking about X, not Y. Let me clarify. Worst case, restart your conversation in a new chat to fully refresh the context. Yeah, this has happened to me. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to like steer it back once you kind of diverge a bit. And I do end up sometimes just starting a new chat just because I want to be like, yo, you know what? Maybe I asked some wrong stuff first. Maybe just try and do a fresh one. But I guess it's really just up to you on your preference and like what you're working on. And it says pro tip, you can also click the pencil icon on any of your messages to edit and resubmit your prompt. Useful when you want to refine your request rather than add a new message. Okay. I feel like I rarely use a pencil though. All right, so it says personalizing Claude. There are two features that help Claude work better for you over time to increase the power of your prompts. Memory automatically saves key context from your conversations, your role, preferences, past decisions, and working style. So you don't have to repeat yourself every time you start a new chat. Yeah, I love that. So basically, they must say like Memory, or like, so based on certain things that you're asking, Claude is gonna save that about you. Like for me, I think it will save, like if I'm asking like a lot of questions based on as an iOS engineer and it pick that up, it's gonna save that to memory. And then more than likely some of the responses it gives to me will be more iOS engineer tailored. All right. All right. So for example, if you tell Claude you work in a marketing, let's see, marketing at a B2B company, it will remember that context going forward. You can review, edit, or delete anything Claude remembers anytime in settings, and memory syncs across all your devices. So you can edit the memory of it, and then whenever you edit one place, it will go to all my devices. So I have a iPhone and I have the MacBook. So if I change on the MacBook, it will also that memory will affect on my phone too. Styles that you customize how Claude communicates. Choose from preset options like concise, formal, or explanatory, or create your own custom style by describing exactly how you want Claude to write. Once set, your style applies across all conversations automatically. I didn't know you could do this. So it says styles that you customize how Claude communicates. Choose from preset options. So I guess you can change how it responds to you. So aside from it learning from memory, you can set styles and like determine how you if you want to explain things in a concise way, a formal way, or explanatory way. Or you can create your own custom style by describing exactly how you want Claude to write. Nice. So put it into practice. Before moving on, try prompting Claude with a question or a task. If you need an idea started, feel free to explore our use case gallery. All right. What's next? In the next lesson, we'll explore how to give Claude direction, adjusting its tone, format, and approach to match exactly what you need. All right. So let's just, so, oh yeah, we still have the YouTube video to watch for this, but let's just run through this again. And we're actually going to open Claude for this just to see what they're doing. Let me see if anything will go on. So what we're gonna say is, so the first thing is, for learning objectives, it will be start a new conversation with Claude and navigate the interface, which is what we'll look at. Write effective prompts using clear, specific language. Upload files and use follow-up messages to help refine Claude responses. So key takeaways. Again, quick summary. We're not gonna read all this over again. Just some major points just to help cement it in our brain. So Claude is a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across all your work. I'll read this full part though. Claude brings AI intelligence, but you bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful. So Claude is super smart, but you have to guide it to make it that like, yo, I want you to work on this to make it work on any meaningful work. Super smart, but if it's not using it to do anything, it's pretty meaningless. But we can give it meaning. The best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally, concisely, and conversationally. All right. And so before your next conversation with Claude, consider setting the stage, defining the task, and specifying the rules. All right. And then this is just when you upload relevant documents for like more context. All right. When you open Claude AI, you'll see a clean interface. We get that. All right. So writing effective prompts, and this is what it says. What is a all right? So for writing effective prompts, important to setting the stage, defining the task, and specifying the rules. Now we went over this earlier when we were just reading this, so we kind of have an idea. If you missed it, just push back a little bit more, and you'll be able to go back to that. And all right, so putting to it gave us an example. And then to want to go deeper, the prompt framework is adapted from the 4D framework for AI fluency. So that's the method pretty much that they recommend for you for writing prompts. But honestly, I've just talked to Claude using natural language, and it's natural language just talking regular, and it did whatever I needed to do. But if you want to follow this method, you can. I mean, it's recommended by Anthropic. They made Claude, so yeah. Adding context, so uploads, connectors, and custom preferences offers way to give even more context about your work. Claude can analyze both text and visual elements. Cool. Some practical ways to use file uploads are upload a document and ask Claude to summarize the key points, share an image and ask Claude to describe or analyze what it sees, attach a spreadsheet and ask Claude to identify trends in the data, upload code and ask Claude to explain how it works or find bugs. So there's some examples of when you upload a document, how you can use it to help. I know it's a once uploaded Claude will bam. All right, pro tip. If you'd like Claude to consider specific preferences in every response, go to Settings, General, and what personal preferences should Claude consider. So let's do this now. Let me just check what I'm going over here. I forgot where I put the chat. Anyways, oh yeah, it's over there. All right, so the thing that says is go to settings. So I'll open Claude here. I already have my Claude kind of open. Go back. Oop, gotta pay that invoice. Anyways, all right, so it says settings. I believe I just click on this and then I just go to settings and then I go to general, what personal preferences. As a pro tip, if you like Claude, just to consider specific preferences in every response, go to settings and general. Oh, so I guess these are my specific preferences. So these are my instructions, I guess. So settings, general. It doesn't exactly say preferences, but maybe it's this general. So I see two general, desktop app and general up here. Oh, never mind, it's preferences here. If you'd like Claude to consider specific preferences in every response, go to settings general and what personal preferences should Claude consider. All right, so these are my preferences. Appearance, code notification, response, completions. Okay. This describes your work. Okay. All right. Now, cool. And it's iterating on Claude responses. Conversations with Claude are meant to be iterative. We know that. All right. So it's if Claude's first response isn't quite what you wanted, you have several options. You can ask follow-up questions. You can provide feedback or redirect and restart. And we kind of talked about that earlier. So you can just pull that back. Again. So personalizing Claude, it says there are two features that help Claude work better for you over time to increase the power of your prompts. The first one is memory, and the second one is styles. And it says memory though is automatically saves key context from your conversations. It's easy, your role, preferences, past decisions, and working style. So you don't have to repeat yourself every time you start a new chat. For example, if you tell Claude you work in marketing at a B2B, business to business, it will remember that context going forward. You can review, edit, or delete anything Claude remembers anytime in settings and memory. Syncs across your devices. Cool. And now styles. It's a styles that you customize how Claude communicates. Choose from preset options like concise, formal, or explanatory, or create your own custom style by describing exactly how you want Claude to write. Once set, your style applies across all conversations automatically. Put it into practice. Before moving on, try prompting Claude with a question or task. If you need an idea to get started, feel free to explore our use case gallery. Yeah, so let's just ask a Claude. Let's just ask a question. And I use Claude a lot, so. Oh yeah, it said my thing is paused. Gonna have to pay that. Let's see if it will give me a question though. If not, I'm gonna have to pay for that. What? I'm gonna ask it like kind of it says. I'm an iOS engineer, and I'm an iOS engineer, and I'm interested in stocks in Jamaica. Create Document that gives info about all the tech companies' progress here. Oh, so I gotta pay that subscription. Don't mind me, people. I'm gonna just jump over here and just pay for that. Yeah, real life coding, people. So these things can happen. All right, billing. Update. I love that it has like Apple Pay too. All right. So I'll handle that off screen, but we'll send that prompt in a few. But let's jump back to this. That's pretty embarrassing. Okay, so all right. So let's go up to here. I think the only thing we didn't do here was just watch the video. So let's just run this and let's just see what they say.
Imagine this. You're looking at a blank page, wrestling with a big, complex project, and not sure where to start. What if you had a partner who could help you break it down? Claude is a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across all of your work. Claude brings AI intelligence, but you bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful. Let's explore chatting with Claude, beginning with the sidebar. Here, you will encounter icons for creating new chats and jumping back into old ones. There are options for projects, where you can organize your conversations with persistent context and custom instructions. And then artifacts, which allow you to turn ideas into shareable apps, tools, or content. No matter what you hope to accomplish, Claude offers support to achieve your goals. All interactions with Claude begin with a prompt, and these prompts, combined with other context, impact its response. The best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally.
So literally, like this video is just talking about the same thing that we read. That's what I'm pretty much what I'm getting for it, like how to talk to Claude, how it writes it. But let's keep running.
Concisely, and conversationally. But you may ask, what is a good prompt? Before your next conversation with Claude, consider a few things. 1. Setting the stage. What is your role and what are your objectives? Is there context about your work that Claude should know about? 2. Defining the task. What action do you want Claude to take? Do you want Claude to write, analyze, build, etc.? 3. Specifying rules. What's the style or tone you want Claude to use? Are there examples that you can attach to show Claude? Let's review this prompt below. First, we're setting the stage by telling Claude this is for an investor pitch deck for a new indie streaming app. That's the context and the objective.
Same example, same plan. I think it's a 4D whatever plan for writing prompts, but yeah.
Then we define the task clearly by providing relative details. Finally, we specify the rules by using current web research with citations, structuring it as a professional report, which tells Claude exactly what style and format we need. Perfect. With your basic prompt in place, now comes the real power move, adding your specific context to make Claude's response truly tailored to your needs. When you upload relevant documents or background information into a specific chat, Claude considers that context in its response, whether that's company documents, project files, or background research. Think of it as a shortcut so that Claude can understand what your needs are. Claude can
Same thing. So you can upload documents so that you get more context on what you're trying to work on. So and that will update Claude's response, just like we read. I'm still glad we read first before watching this video. Yeah, because I feel like it definitely cemented more in my brain, like what we just did. Let me know in the comments if you preferred, like, if you would have preferred us did the video and then kept reading, or you like me, like reading it first and then watching the vid.
Intake and output many file types such as PDF, CSV, docs, and more. In the Search and Tools menu, you can level up your experience yet again by giving Claude access to more tools to pull in more context, and will pull in these tools as needed while solving your request. You might toggle on options like web search to let Claude research current market data, or use connected data sources to pull from Google Drive, allowing access to real-time information.
Yeah, so that's kind of tough. So you can decide if you wanted to have access to like get more. So maybe it doesn't know something that you mentioned, and you can use this web search tool to basically search the web and get more information. Or I guess if like you connect it to your Google Drive or your Gmail or your Google Calendar, you can get more context on that.
Claude will choose the right approach. While those options directly impact the information Claude has access to, there are a few more ways to customize how Claude responds. You can choose the best Claude model for your task. To use the model selector, start chatting with Claude or open an existing chat. The selected model will appear under your text input. To change it, click on the model name and choose which model of Claude you'd like to chat with instead.
Yeah, so I don't think the article you read kind of mentioned models, so this is good. I think in the previous course we did, you mentioned models, though. Yeah, I definitely did, and extended thinking.
Changing the model will result in a new chat. Claude currently supports numerous models with distinct capabilities intended to meet specific users' needs. Use the Claude Opus model for your most complex tasks. It's the largest scale model with hybrid reasoning capabilities. For example, running a multi-step financial analysis. Claude Sonnet is the best choice for everyday users and is our recommended default mode. It balances sophisticated capabilities with cost effectiveness. Think of it like choosing the right tool for the job. You can always switch models based on what you're trying to accomplish. Extended thinking mode is particularly valuable for complex thinking and analysis, though it increases latency.
Okay, so it definitely seems like the video is combining knowledge that we learned from the previous course, Claude 101, What is Claude, in this video, and it's taking whatever we just learned in this course in here. Nice.
And may not be necessary for simple questions and everyday conversations. To get the fastest output for more straightforward tasks, you can start with Sonnet models and leave thinking mode off. If you need more support, you can change the model or turn on thinking mode. Research enables Claude to conduct systematic, multi-angle investigations by automatically breaking down complex questions and exploring hundreds of sources to deliver comprehensive, cited reports in 5 to 45 minutes. Claude does the research for you, while you focus on other high-value work. Now just wait as Claude delivers to you a well-crafted response that effectively accomplishes your task. But the real power of Claude comes with continued and frequent communication, not just one-off prompts. The more you interact with Claude, the better it becomes at understanding your communication style and preferences for future conversations. Working with Claude, you have a great partner and a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across everything you work on. Claude brings AI intelligence to your work. You bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful.
All right, that was good. I feel like that was a great way to end it. So, boom. So, yeah, so we knocked out that. So, then the next one, what we're going to look at is, so right down here. Also, I did just pay the subscription for this. So, let's see if we do a Command R and refresh. It's still saying subscription isn't ready. Let's just see. Let's just test it. So, what is food? Oh, it's actually doing this. So I guess this is late because I just paid this. All right. All right, cool. So we can just stop this now. So just so that's basically how you could send a prompt, right? So I'll jump back to over here. And now let's just scroll down and say, what's next? In the next lesson, we'll explore how to give Claude direction, adjusting its tone, format, and approach to match exactly what you need. I know it's a feedback. As you progress through the course, we'd love to hear from you about how you are using concepts from the course in your work and any feedback you may have. Oh, okay, cool. I guess the only feedback I would have is just like, I wish there was a video for the first course that focused just on the first course instead of just mixing both of them in here. Let me see what the feedback page looks like. It's too much right now. I'll do that later. So I'll probably just do that after. All right. So right now, since we finished this, I'll hit next. And the next topic we'll handle in the next video will be getting better results. So, you know what I mean? So today with the nerdy yardy. And people, if you like this, like, comment, share. And we're literally going to knock out every single one of these Claude courses that there is. And I will be doing it live. So expect some mistakes, but that's how we learn. And yeah, I'm definitely going to run to go through it multiple times. I'm going to go back and forth with you, add comments. And I might end up Googling some stuff if there's a point I get to where I'm not sure what some means. But this is how I learn. And I learn by repetition and more visual. So yeah, if you like this, like, comment, share. And remember, the main thing is anyone can learn anything with time, practice, and failures. I'm the nerd, nerdy yardy, and yo, I'm out.